Hi, and welcome back to Mingus on Tech. I'm Ken Mingus, Executive Editor at Computer World. I'm here with Macworld's Michael Simon. It's been a big week for Apple. The iPhone XR is out, and of course there was the event in Brooklyn this week with new iPad Pros, a new Mac Mini, the new MacBook Air. We're going to talk about all of it, so stick around. Okay, so Mike, thanks for being here. I know you've had a busy week down to Brooklyn, over here to Framingham, back and forth.
OnePlus on Monday and Apple on Tuesday.
Yeah, man, totally busy. I wanted to start off. You've got the XR. I saw
10R. Come on,
I'm
now.
sorry.
What are we talking about?
I
here?
like to call them X. It sounds sexier that way. The 10R and my 10s Max. You've had it for a few days now. I did see the unboxing video that you did last week.
I've had it for just about a week.
Okay, and I want to find out because one of the things that occurs to me is, you know, given the basically they're the same hardware inside except for the screen and the camera, it seems like to me that the 10R is probably, you know, you could make a very credible argument that it's the best iPhone for most people.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously much cheaper than the 10s. So you've had a few days with it. What do you think? I mean, is it worth it?
Yeah, I mean it's a nice phone. To start with, it's basically an iPhone 9.
Okay.
You know, if Apple had continued that nomenclature,
Right.
We never heard of the iPhone 10.
Right.
This would have been
the 9,
and people would have been absolutely blown away by it. $750 for this design, this specs on the inside, all that stuff. I mean, it would have just blown people away. Now that we have the 10 and the 10s now, this is kind of a Me Too phone.
Right. It does feel like, you know, it sort of slots in as a quote-unquote lesser phone, and it's really not. I mean, it really does have the
On
chops.
the inside, it's got, you know, the A12 chip, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's got 128, well, mine does. You can get 64 or 128 gig of storage. It's got a nice back that's glass and wireless charging. It comes in a whole bunch of colors, which people like.
Yeah.
The difference physically is it's 6.1 inches versus 5.8 and 6.5 on the Max. And also the bezels are really
noticeably
thick.
bigger. Yeah, I noticed that in
Really
the unboxing, and I can see it right here when you look at it. You know, it looks like it's got a case on it.
It does, and the reason
around it.
The reason is because of the LCD, and it has to be backlit. And if it wasn't, it would bleed through and look ugly. And Apple wanted to create that uniform all the way around look of the 10. So it's about 2 millimeters maybe versus 1 millimeter. It's about
which doesn't sound like a lot,
no,
but when you
doesn't,
add
but
1 millimeter on each
see
side
it.
and to top, you can really
and
tell.
when you see it next to the iPhone 10s, it's extremely noticeable.
Yeah.
That kind of fades away as you're using
used to it.
as
and
always.
a lot of people have them in cases anyway.
Yeah, and let's face it, the iPhone 8 had, you know, bezels for days. I mean, that thing was huge comparatively.
Yeah.
So you're still getting a 6.1 inch LCD screen versus a 6.5 or 5.8 inch OLED screen, and that's the big difference.
Yeah. Do you notice a lot of difference in terms of the screen itself, the blacks, the colors? I mean, to my untrained eye, it looks great.
The blacks for sure.
Yeah.
If you use OLED, it's going to be really hard to go back.
You're going to notice it. Yeah.
Because there's the notch is there.
Yeah.
And when you're using an app that kind of hides it, like say like the Stocks app, that's a dark app.
Right.
You can see it's not black. It's really, 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 really dark gray. It's not quite black. So you can still see the difference between the notch, which is just glass, and the screen around it, which is LCD. Because it's always
it's going to have a
lit.
glow of some sort. It has to, even when it's quote unquote black.
The OLED, you know, as that's the benefit. The main benefit of it is that you can each individual pixel is like it's on or off. Yeah, so you can shut them off, and it's completely and totally black. The truest black you can get on a phone is going to be this the
OLED.
AMOLED as they call it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, however,
for most people, to my point,
coming from an iPhone 8. You know LCD,
or even earlier, because obviously not everybody upgrades their phone every year.
Right.
So if you're coming at this from a 6 or a 7,
or a 7 or a 5 or a 3 or 2 or whatever,
yeah,
Apple's LCDs are top notch. I mean, they're awesome.
Yeah,
the color accuracy, the brightness, it's all there.
Okay.
Just when you put it next to an OLED, whether it's a Samsung, an Apple, or an LG, or Google, whatever one, you can see the difference. the blacks, the colors, the vibrancy. It's all there.
Yeah.
But when you use it as your main phone, it's great.
Well, and also, again, too, with an OLED, with the 10s or the 10s Max, you're paying a very steep premium
Yes.
for that, for that screen, basically, and the camera too. Did you note? Have you had a chance to use the camera at all on the? on the
Very
10R?
very little bit. That's going to be this weekend's project.
Okay.
But
Because it doesn't have the wide angle.
it doesn't
or
have the telephoto.
telephoto.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you still get the same main lens. It doesn't have that secondary telephoto lens. So you're not getting true portraits, and you're not getting that extra zoom, which sometimes that'll come in handy.
I've used the zoom a lot on
Yeah.
the 10s Max, just testing it out.
Absolutely.
And if you can't get close to something, you can zoom in, to the point where before it goes digital, and it does make a difference. I would miss it, but again, for most people, most of the time, the 10R is quite the phone.
Yeah, and I do like that. So it always bothered me with the say the 8 and the 8 Plus.
Yeah.
That not only were you getting a bigger screen, you were also losing that you were also gaining a secondary camera. So you're making people choose on 2 points here.
Mm-hmm.
Does the iPhone XR actually has a bigger screen than
10R, I believe it's called.
You got me.
See?
You got me.
All right. Anyway, go.
It actually has a bigger screen than the iPhone 10s.
Yeah.
So there's compromises, but they don't feel like compromises because
Mm-hmm.
Apple's giving you more in some places and less in other places. Whereas before it was just, if you go smaller, you're losing.
Right.
And now if you go cheaper, you're getting 6.1 versus 5.8, which is significant. It's a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, it
On a
makes a
screen that's
difference.
big, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
You're getting the colors, which makes a difference to some people.
Mm-hmm.
There's added value in this phone that surprised me.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's not just a cut rate 10.
Agreed. Understood. Well, that's the difference because the hardware in these two is essentially the same. They both have the A12 Bionic.
all that
They
stuff.
which
this thing, it screams.
you're not
It's
buying a
fast as hell.
slower phone because
No.
it's a less expensive
And
phone.
they could have put an A11 in there, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or somehow dumbed it down. I saw some benchmarks go by this morning on one of the websites, and these were literally the same numbers. So
yeah.
it's exactly
yeah.
the same.
That I have been doing, and they are nearly identical. And it's not an apples to apples comparison, but they blow away anything over on Android.
Got it. Well, you would know. You're using Android these days. Okay, so moving on to this week, I did want to get a feel from you about some of the announcements that Apple had. And, of course, again, I always tend to sort of look at these things from an enterprise perspective, and I've been trying to keep close tabs on the, especially for me, the iPad Pro with the new design, Face ID, smaller form factor, but the same screen, et cetera. And the new keyboard that Apple rolled out. And I'm just, one of the things, and I'm very curious about this myself because I'm trying to think about whether I could dump my MacBook Pro, get the new iPad Pro with a keyboard, and make that my laptop. Whether I think the hardware is certainly there. I'm not sure whether the apps and the ecosystem around it are going to be enough. Thoughts?
I actually got to see them because I was in Brooklyn for the event, which was fun. Let me tell you, Apple events are a trip.
Yeah.
But we don't have time to get into that.
No, tell me what.
It's just...
Because I'll probably never get to one, so...
So, I've been to a lot of these. Samsung, Google, LG. Every major company invites journalists to these events.
Yeah.
The Apple one was... First of all, they have tons of staff. They shut down major thoroughfares in Brooklyn for the whole day.
Yep.
Like, completely shut them down around the Brooklyn Academy of Arts,
Yep.
of Music. And every single Apple person that I walked by, every one, made eye contact. How you doing? Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Every single one. And
They
it's-
train them well.
Oh my God! It's just, and they're all wearing matching jackets, matching
So you
shirts.
can find them. Yeah.
And so in the event, Tim Cook gets like a rock star welcome, like a standing ovation welcome. I mean, we're talking about iPads here.
Yeah.
He got as much of a welcome as Lana Del Rey did. He got a standing ovation at the
should
end.
get a better
There was
one.
a 30-second applause break for recycled aluminum. I mean, it was
People
wild.
are
man.
dedicated.
Wild.
That's the reason
People
that I
are
like it.
gasping and there's like
And
audible gasps.
these
when
are
they're
not
talking.
just the people that work for Apple. These
No,
are the
well,
journalists.
I mean, maybe
I'm sure they're
they
part
might
of it.
scatter them through the audience,
But
so
this
it
is also
seems like there's
journalists.
excitement. But they just create this buzz. It's just it's wild.
Yeah.
man.
All right. So you're in this soup of buzz, and the new hardware is rolling out. So the iPad Pro, I do like my iPad. This is last year's model, and it's been a great tablet sometimes using it as a laptop,
Mhm.
and I really would like to have just one device. And I'm trying to figure out, because obviously Microsoft's done a lot with the Surface and being able to sort of put together something that's computer hybrid tablet.
That's not coming.
No,
That's not happening.
No, Apple's not
Apple's
going to do that.
never going to do that.
No,
I mean, all right, they won't do
I
it
wouldn't
with.
say
with-
never.
They're not going to do it with this device.
Okay.
It will be another.
It would
one,
be another device.
A new device.
Okay.
Of some sort with with the similar form factor, I guess.
Of course, it'll have the Apple aesthetic.
But it'll be more of a true hybrid. I don't think Apple's ever going to create a hybrid.
Okay.
But they're building towards something.
Okay.
It's hard to kind of see.
Do you have an idea what it is?
I don't, because Apple surprised me. I mean, I knew because of the rumors. USB-C on the iPad is a big deal.
Yeah.
They showed it hooked up to a monitor. You plug it in, and
Hooked
it has
up to a camera. Hooked up to
camera,
other,
hard drives.
But you don't have the
you
ability.
can charge your phone. You plug your phone.
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
and
It does
charging
power out,
which is awesome. Yeah.
But you can't. You still don't have the ability to say plug in a hard drive to the new iPad and transfer files.
I mean, you can
It's
and
kludgy
can't.
at
It's not the
best, right?
same thing, but you can like Photoshop.
Yeah.
That uses PSDs.
Yeah.
So you can have it on an external drive, access them through that Files app, and
Okay.
it's closer.
See, that to me is where I think maybe iOS 13 goes next year.
Yeah.
If they want to, they put the hardware in place now, and then they open it up in
It
ways
does
that it hasn't
seem
been
like
opened up.
we're a year behind. It's still running iPhone software.
Right.
It's been running iPhone software since it was literally called iPhone OS at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yep.
And Apple has slowly added multitasking, slide over, things like
The
this.
files, files.
Yeah, the Files app.
Access.
But there's definitely still a connection between iOS on the phone and iOS on the iPad that isn't there on the Mac.
Right.
The Mac is the Mac.
Right.
And I think Apple, maybe iOS 13, maybe iOS 15, I don't know when they get there, but there will be a time when these things split.
Right.
And I think USB-C is the first
Right.
step towards that. Lightning on the iPhone, USB-C on the iPad, they're pushing it this way.
You don't think they'll go to USB-C
I
on the
don't.
iPhone next year?
I don't.
You're gonna So
I
the
think they're gonna
USB-C is
keep it
specific.
Lightning.
This makes it more computer-like.
Yes.
A la the MacBook Air, the MacBook,
Yeah, and
the MacBook
I mean
Pro.
that was the reason why they did it on this. It has nothing to do with
they don't have
consumer
to.
carrying cords and charging. They don't care about us. It's because they want it to be more.
Well, they
like
care
a
about us,
computer.
but maybe not quite as much as we'd like
If
for
they
them
cared
to.
about us, they wouldn't have raised prices
Yeah,
20%.
well, there is that too. So yeah, but no, I do get that, and that's the USB-C was one of the things that made me think, okay, maybe there's some way to make this more like a real computer. I'm going to
Yeah.
try it. We'll see.
I mean, there's still you can write, you can. Photoshop's going to be a big help when that launches. There's a lot of AR stuff, but it's still not. When I have to sit down and get work done,
Yeah.
I'm picking up
Back
my
to a
MacBook.
laptop?
It's just maybe I'm just on the cusp of that older generation,
Yeah.
and maybe
What do
younger
you say?
younger people are using it more. I don't know, but I still feel like the Mac app ecosystem is inherently different
It is,
than the
yeah.
iPad one,
Right.
and there just are things that you can't do yet on the iPad. For example, Xcode,
Yeah. Yeah.
Final Cut,
Yeah.
podcast editing, like all these things that Apple you can do on a Mac relatively easily with Apple
But
software.
don't you think that that's
they
also-
haven't ported over?
But don't you think that's also because you've done it always on a Mac, therefore you know how to do it well? I assume there's going to be some retraining involved in trying to, port over what I do day to day on a MacBook Pro to an iPad Pro.
There are ways, but there are also some things that you just like.
You just can't do it.
Again, Apple has not ported Xcode to iOS. It's not there
Yeah.
because I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's too big. Maybe it's too involved. Maybe
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's not. You can do it on the MacBook Air.
Yeah.
Can't do it on the iPad, even though they're pretty comparable when it comes to speeds.
All right. So this will be a cautionary tale as I get an iPad Pro and launch myself into this brave new world. MacBook Air, you mentioned it, and I was really impressed. I thought the MacBook Air looks really nice.
It's a MacBook.
It's a MacBook.
It's a MacBook
and
with
so
a
here's
slightly
my
bigger
question.
screen.
Why would you buy a MacBook
You
now?
would not.
Yeah, I mean, the
You
MacBook
would be out of
Air-
your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I mean,
an inch. It's an inch smaller. That's it.
Yeah. But it's
Processor
Yep.
way slower.
Yep.
Storage. I don't remember what the numbers are, but you get more on the MacBook Air.
Yeah.
Touch ID on the MacBook Air. The same colors and design and aluminum all that other stuff, same thing.
Yep.
And it's again a little bit thicker, a little bit bigger. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Why? There's no way, and it's $100 less. There's no reason to buy a MacBook. None.
Right.
I don't even know why they still offer it.
Well, exactly. I do wonder, you know, because for so
or
long,
just cut the price.
Well, they may wind up doing that, but I mean, for so long, the MacBook Air was just basically neglected. I mean,
Yes.
until this week, it didn't even have a
Yeah,
Retina
it got
display.
the most
which was
ridiculous
just-
of processor bumps last year. It was
Why-
like 100 megahertz.
I mean,
or
that's just
something.
an insult.
Just
you
so
know?
Apple could put a little new banner on their website.
Right. So but with the new MacBook Air, it really does leapfrog the MacBook.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's the next thing.
I mean,
down
the
from a
the
Pro.
starting MacBook for $1,300 has an M processor. I mean, that's like garbage.
Yeah.
This has an 8th gen Core i5. It has 8
It's a
gigs of
dual
RAM.
core.
Yeah, dual.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real deal machine. It's good.
I will say that's my backup if the iPad Pro doesn't work.
I mean, $1,200. I mean, now we're talking. You
know,
want to give me some of the money you have
Well,
to spend on all this stuff?
I'm trading in the other things. What are you talking about? I'm dumping things and selling them off. But no, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
The MacBook doesn't really have a place. The fact that Apple is still offering it is, I mean, it's disingenuous. It's kind of, because people are going to walk in and say, some people are going to say, I want the smallest laptop I can get.
Yeah.
And
that's
Apple's
the
charging
MacBook.
you more for that, for old specs.
Yeah, it does seem to me that the MacBook Air is going to put a serious... And of course, Tim Cook has been very clear about this, that Apple doesn't mind cannibalizing from its own sales.
No, that's fine. This is beyond cannibalizing.
Yeah.
This is completely
Just
and totally
stupid.
just screwing anyone who buys a MacBook unaware, and there are a lot of people who don't know what we know.
Right.
They walk into an Apple
Unless
store.
they watch our show here, and then they know, and not to go buy a MacBook now.
They walk into an Apple store, and they might not... that's the smallest. Okay, I'll take that.
Oh, that's cute. I'll take that one. Yeah.
Rather than saying, well, this is an inch bigger for less, and you get all this extra stuff with it. No. And my other question is, what the hell took so long?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
this could have been done
this
3 years
update,
ago.
Yeah, this
or
update
2 years ago.
isn't mad. The same thing with the Mac Mini. We're not talking about, they're not reinventing the wheel here. It's a nice laptop that looks like the one that they have already. The Mac Mini, now it's in space gray. Otherwise, it's identical practically. There's some new ports and events and things. They didn't need 3 years to engineer this stuff.
No, it does. Well, it's and we can move on to the Mac Mini real quick because it just in seeing the way it was rolled out and the way they're talking it up, I wonder if they're trying to position this as a like Mac Pro Lite. Because you can really option that thing at I think one of the $4,200. Now even I'm not going to do that. It's like
I mean, there's no one in the world who's going to do
so
that.
what's the use case for a Mac Mini?
I don't know.
I mean, I know it's nichey, and I had one for a while hooked up to a TV, and it makes a great sort of
But now it's at $500. That's
Right.
something you can swallow. At $8,
yeah.
that's a lot of money for a media streamer.
For that's which is what it would be,
Yeah.
and reasonably powerful, but nothing. It's not. We're not
I don't know
talking cutting
why
edge here.
this entire year, from the iPhone to the iPad to the Apple Watch, all this stuff, everything is 20 to 50% more. I'm 50. I say 50. That's because of the Mac Mini.
Right.
It's like 20% more,
Right.
25% more.
Well-
that thing, the iPad 12, that went from 800 to 1,000 for no conceivable reason other than they changed the design.
Yeah.
It's still 12.9-inch LCD. You still got 64 gigs of storage on the low
To
end.
start. Yep. You get Face ID, but even the screen is the same, right? There's no difference in the screen.
Yeah,
It's pretty much the same one.
They say it's the liquid retina, so it has the curved corners, which I'll admit is nice.
Yeah.
Not
$200
25% more nice.
Yeah, not $200 nice. Oh, you had mentioned earlier before I let you go. You had said that one of the things about the iPad Pro, the new keyboard that Apple came out with, that you were impressed with.
It's nice.
That.
It's a lot thinner. When you close that,
Yeah.
there's a weird hump
Yeah.
that I never quite liked.
Yeah.
It's very
I get it.
un-Apple like. This one is nice and smooth. The keys are a little bit. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they're bigger or if it's just the way it folds and the way it works. But it actually feels like a portfolio, like a paper one.
Yep.
There's no weirdness there.
Almost
And,
like having
it was
a MacBook in
comfortable
your
and
hand.
yeah. I mean, it kind of, and then there's also 2 ways for it to angle.
I like that.
So you have
it's very smart. One for desktop and
then
one for like more
movie
casual,
viewing-ish,
or if you're here and
which is nice.
reading in bed or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question: are we going to get a MacBook Pro bump this year? Do you think?
MacBook Pro, we did.
Did we get the? Oh,
That happened already. It's
Yeah.
we're waiting for the Mac Pro.
Mac Pro.
That's
what I'm thinking of.
guy.
The Mac Pro. Yeah.
I
well,
wrote an article
I wouldn't
today
count on
about
that. No.
Well, they say they keep pushing it.
Yeah.
The last thing we got was that was it's not coming this year,
Yeah.
which presumably means next year.
Yeah.
Here's my all of a sudden I'm a little concerned about this. Now I thought all along they were working on this great thing, modular, a tower like the G5 of
Right.
old. Then I saw the Mac Mini. and I wrote about this today at Macworld, and I'm not. When I heard there was a Mac Mini coming out, I was like, oh, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's the same computer. 7.5 inch square, 1.9 inches deep.
Space gray, though.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
If Apple gives us another circle that says, okay, now you can upgrade the RAM, now you can upgrade the hard drive, that is not going to cut it, man.
No.
We need an ugly tower.
A real big tower.
Give me an ugly tower. Something that's metal that you can open up and put everything
That's
in.
not going to happen. I don't see.
But that's what people want.
Yeah.
That's what people are waiting for. That's what Apple's been teasing now for 2.5 years or 2 years. That we're going to have the modular Mac Pro we want. We screwed up on the trash can.
Yeah.
This is what we're bringing, and now I'm a little worried.
Well, I think it'll be out just about the same time the AirPower charging pad
Probably,
shows
yeah.
up. So
My guess is WWDC next year, which we'll probably see both. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So big week for Apple.
Yeah.
Lots of hardware. Lots of question marks about where Apple's going with some of it. But anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really do appreciate the insights. For now, that's a wrap.